There we go. If n is odd, you just, if n is odd, if n is even, you average two middle numbers. Mode. Somebody tell me what the mode means. The one that shows up the what? Most. Mode and most. Mode and most. Range. That's the highest minus the what? Good job. Minus the lowest.
So would the mid-range be that divided by 2?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the midpoint. It's the highest plus the lowest. So the mid-range is the highest plus the what? Plus the lowest divided by 2. So you should be able to do those now that I've given you some kind of refresher on it. We're going to go through and do it just in case you don't understand it. And besides, if I had a drinking problem, I still couldn't drink hard liquor like that. Ugh. Some people could. Maybe the red solo cup teacher could. He got fired. Do you actually think that you're going to bring a red solo cup to school and fill it up 3 times before lunchtime and not get fired?
It's really funny that somebody thought they could get away with that, though. It's like, where's this country going?
You know, the dumb people that you go to school with in high school and junior high school, it doesn't get any better in the real world. There's still DAs out there. Now, the variance and standard deviation, we're going to slow down when we get down there, okay? So, let's see how many we got right now. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, 9 is odd or even?
Odd.
Odd. So, I'm going to put a little line in here. Insert, and I'm going to say n is equal to 9 minus 0, but 9, and then I'm going to put right here, I'm going to put odd. So that means I've got to find the middle. So what's the middle? 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. 92 is the middle, so I'm going to highlight that, and that is my what? That's your median. Mean, well, that's where we add it up and divide by
9. It's
9. So equals, well, let me just do a, right here, auto sum. Now again, the reason I'm doing Excel is not because I want you to know how to do Excel. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to put everything on the board at one time. Divided by 9. So everybody should have 92.222. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Which number shows up the most? 87.
87.
Somebody answer this question. Can you have more than one mode?
Yes.
Yes, you can. If I had 2 87s and 2 90s, you'd have 87, comma, and 90. That's called bimodal. You can have 3 modes. After 3 modes, it's called polymodal. So make sure you know that. What if you don't have a mode? What are you supposed to put? You don't put 0. you put none. Nairn, does not exist. Ain't got none. Whatever, put words. Do not put 0. Because there'll always be some smart aleck teacher to say 0 is not even in the data set. I do not understand where you found 0. Okay, so don't put 0. Put none. Does not exist. There isn't any. Okay, whatever you want to put, make sure it's words if there's not a mode. Range is the what? The highest minus the what? Lowest. And the mid-range is equal to the highest plus the lowest divided by what? 2.
2.
So all of those numbers you should have. And I think this is 6A. We're going to get into 6C here and just 6B in a little bit. So I'm going to highlight 3 of these. I'm going to highlight this one. And we'll highlight that in Verde. And this one in Verde. And this one in Verde. Okay, somebody tell me what those 3 have in common.
They're the same number.
2.
They're almost the same what?
2. They have 2 in common.
They're almost the same what?
Number.
They're all close. 92, 92, 92. Okay, they're very similar. They're very close. Make that note out to the side. Put those 3 together and say very close. And highlight that. We're going to come back to that here in just a minute. Now I'm going to write down the formula for the variance, and I want you to write it down. The formula for the variance, and I'm going to erase it in just a second, so you need to write it down, is equal to the summation of x minus x bar, quantity squared, over n minus 1. So I want you to write that down. I want you to highlight it, because you're going to need to know it, and you're going to need to read it.
Not. How do we get it started right now?
Variance equals the summation of x minus x bar. Y'all need to maximize that where y'all can see it. You need to have your board on behind you so y'all can see it. Oh, me. Maximize that so y'all can see it, please.
Light arrow to get it to the other side.
That is variance.
Can you maximize it?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yay!
There should be like a white arrow above.
Yeah, down to the right beside me. You can drag that over to the other side. And somebody needs to take the white remote control and turn the board on over there behind you.
Up?
I think you drag it over. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, somebody tell me what X bar is. X bar is the what?
Mean.
The average, the mean. Everybody got that?
Yes.
We'll highlight that right there. Everybody with me? Let's see, what else can I highlight? Can somebody else tell me what I can highlight? N, good job. Hold on. I'm going to highlight N, and we'll highlight that in a aqua color. Okay, what else? What's X?
Those numbers, right?
It's those numbers, right? So I've got to do what with those numbers? I've got to subtract the mean from each one of those numbers, right? That's what the formula says. X minus what?
Minus X
So
bar.
I've got to go over here and I'm going to make a column right here. And it's going to be called X minus X bar. So you need to make a column on your notebook paper. And it needs to be called X minus X bar. Now the first thing I get when I do this is I say, okay, take x minus x bar. And the student goes, well, how do you know to do x minus x bar? You read the what? The formula. You read the formula. Right down here. What does it say? It says x minus what? X bar. You read the formula. Read x minus x bar. So we're going to do that. You make a column and you call it x minus x bar. That's what I'm fixing to do right now. So you take your pencil and your notebook paper and right beside the x column, you put x minus x bar equals 85 minus what? 92. Now, this is also a point that you need to put about rounding. And you need to make a note about this, and I would probably put it right under this column. Down here, I would put rounding down here, and I can't put it here because I'm going to write it because I can't put it in that little box. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to write it. Rounding in statistics is done at the end of the problem. Rounding at end of problem. So all through the problem, I tell students to keep it to 3 or 4 decimal places. Okay, like this one's at 3 or 4, and that's fine. Because most of the time, they're going to ask you to round to the 10th or to the 100th. So if you have 3 or 4 decimal places through the whole problem, then you should be okay. Do not round in the middle of the problem. Do not round at the beginning of the problem. You round right before you type in the answer. That's when you round. Okay? So, somebody read the formula. What do we do after we do x minus x bar? Read the formula. You square it. Okay, let's go over here and read the formula. This says x, and I'm not trying to piss you off. I get so many students that I tell them, read the formula, read the formula, read the formula. And then they come back the next day, Friday, and they say, I don't understand how you know to subtract the mean from each number. You read the formula. They're not reading the formula. They're writing down the formula, they put it in their notes, and then they try to do the problem when they get home, and then they come back the next day and say, Hubert, I don't understand how you know to subtract. You read the formula. X minus X bar. And now we're going to take the handy dandy blue highlighter, and we're going to square it. Go back to, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. What do you do first? What's in the parentheses? What do you do next?
Exponent.
Exponent. And then you do what's outside of those two things. And that's going to be adding, because we don't have any multiplication or division or anything like that. So it's going to be adding, because the sigma means what? This sigma right here means what? Add them all up. All right, so now we got to square it. So that next column is going to be x minus x bar, quantity what? Squared, Hubert. Got things going off. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do x, parentheses, x minus x bar, which is that previous column, raised to the what? Second power. Okay? So that means all these numbers are going to turn into positive numbers, because when you square a negative, it turns into a what? So I'm going to take this number and I'm going to raise it to the second power. Now you do it in your calculator, and you fill out that column right here. Fill it out. Everybody's got a phone, so you got a calculator. So go ahead and do that. Take 5.22 and raise it to the second power. 2.22 and raise it to the second power. Take it out to 3 or 4 digits. If you can't do it, just consider yourself a failure. And you should probably do what? Okay, you're not going to. Okay, fine. That's fine. Y'all don't want to participate. That's fine. Y'all know y'all giving me a complex. Y'all know that, don't you? I'm going to have to put smokestacks on my truck, wear sunglasses inside, and carry around a gallon jug of water. No reaction whatsoever. None.
That was hilarious.
Huh?
That was hilarious.
You seen any of those people? Usually people like that, they have some insecurities. You know, no hair, no height, or going to the others. Women have them too. You know, Oompa Loompas, orange face and a white neck. Too much makeup, run. Guys, you run into one of those, run. Fast as you can, because they are crazy. Crazy like stalking crazy. Okay, y'all just not gonna talk to me. I'm gonna call Miss Riddle and tell her she cannot be absent anymore because this sucks. Miss Porter, you're supposed to take up the slack.
I have some.
Huh?
I have some.
You
I'm
need
just
to do
trying to
better.
make sure I don't fail again.
Mr. Bargeron,
Yeah.
you're gonna fail if you don't take up the slack.
Oh my god.
Oh, that sounds like you're half dead. Okay, Anya Sador is here. Bowen. Bowen? Okay, I'm gonna mark that person off. I think they dropped. Okay, Foster.
Here.
Foster, you talk too much. You need to settle down.
Yes, sir.
Morgan.
Here.
Riddle is not here. Does anybody know where Miss Riddle is? She ain't sick, is she? Y'all don't care, do you? Miss Carr.
Here.
Miss Carr, you need to settle down too. You and Miss Morgan, y'all are extremely too loud. Okay.
So after that, you do like sigma.
Well, we're going to do that next. I'm going to copy this down so you can check your answers. And there is your x minus x bar quantity squared. So make sure your answers are correct.
The rounding is like weird. It's like off.
Who's rounding?
But some of them are right, and some of them are just like off.
Fix
by
your,
tenths.
Fix your, go to your calculator where you set mode and set your, tell me what your significant digits are set on under mode.
The normal and then float radian.
What's it set on? There should be one thing highlighted. Is it set on something?
Under mode,
Yeah.
there's like a whole list of stuff.
Yeah, but one of them needs to be, let me see. Ooh, electric personality. Yeah, right now it's set on auto. No? Set on. This one's different. It should be floating. Where's floating? And it should be 10 digits. There it is. Set it to 10 or set it to 5 and see what it does.
Okay.
Now see. Do one now and see what it does. Is that better?
I got 52.15728.
Oh, I know probably why. Okay, take 85 minus 92.222 and leave it in there. And then raise that to the second power and tell me what you get.
52.1572.
Okay, let me see. Let me do this. I'll carry it to 5 like your calculator. And put those 5 2s in there and raise it to the second power and see what it does.
Is less off, but it's still off.
52.
52.16046.
Okay, that's fine. It's just a rounding thing.
Okay.
But that's why I tell you to take it to 5, 4 or 5, 3 or 4. I say 4 or 5 because usually they ask you to round to the first or second decimal place, which is the tenths or the hundredths. So if you round to the hundredths, what would it be? 52.16? On yours? Yeah. So you're fine if you carry it 5 digits.
Either way, it would have been 160.
Okay. Okay, now let's do the red down here. The red means that we're going to add up all of those numbers. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add all those numbers up and you add yours up and see what you come out with. What'd y'all get? Somebody tell me what they got as soon as I get it. That's good. I got 55556. How about it, Oconee? Did you get 227.56?
Yeah.
That don't sound too reassuring. How about it, Easley? Did any of y'all get 227.56?
I got 227.55.
Okay. Well, I rounded up. So that's good. Now, what is that? Well, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to take my eraser, and I'm going to erase this right here. Why? Because now I've got my numerator. My numerator now is what? 227 point what? Blah, blah, blah. So, blah, 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 blah. Dang old Hotel Transylvania. That's a funny movie. I do not say blah, 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 blah. Y'all seen that movie? It's cute. Yeah, of course. I got a 12-year-old. Yes.
I didn't think that the last one was going to be any good, but it actually was really
Yeah, it was good. All right, so what goes on the bottom? I'll do this calculation for y'all. 8. Aren't y'all impressed that I did that so quick? Yes, Hubert, I'm impressed. So the variance should be that number. So somebody do that in your calculator. And I get this number divided by 8. I get 28.44444. Now, somebody tell me the relationship between the variance and the standard deviation if you've had probability and statistics before. The square root is the standard deviation. The square is the variance. So and write this down because you may see this on a standardized test. If you're given the variance on a test, just variance is equal to 25. All right? Then the standard deviation, what's the square root of 25? 5, Hubert. Thank you, class. So the standard deviation is 5. You take the square root of the variance to get the standard deviation. Write that down. You take the square root of the variance to get the standard deviation. You take the square root of the variance to get the standard deviation. And like I say, these are all these videos. You got 3 videos you can watch on this. 1:20 a.m., 1:20 p.m., and this class. So you've got 3 sets of notes that you can look over because I'm going over the same stuff. So here we go. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Now the square root is also the number raised to the 1/2 power or the 0.5 power. Now you'll see me use the 0.5 power because it's easier. So I'm going to take the variance, which is G7, and I'm going to raise that to the 0.5 power or the 1/2 power, or you can take the square root in your calculator, and that is 5.33333. Now, what if they give you the standard deviation on a test and say, the standard deviation is 7. What is the variance? What would you do? You square the standard deviation to get the variance. So if I gave you the standard deviation is 7, what is the variance? You would say the variance is 49. So put that in an example to the side of your notes. To get the variance, to get the standard deviation, you take the square root of the variance. To get the variance from the standard deviation, you square the standard deviation. Now, what is the standard deviation? I call the standard deviation that. The what? The spread. Okay? Now we're going to get into that in just a minute. I'm also going to highlight the standard deviation in another color because it's very important. Along with the mean. I'm going to highlight the mean, that color also. Still call it green. It's green because it's important, and the mean is blue because the mean and the standard deviation work together. Okay? Okay, we're going to make this small in just a minute, so I need to make sure you got all these numbers written down. So I'm going to give you another few seconds to write down everything. Any questions so far? Now, we are in 6.A and 6.B right now. Now, a lot of you saying, well, you're just moving too fast. No, I'm not moving too fast because we're going to spend the next 2 to 3 classes doing these problems. So everybody's going to get enough of it. Yeah, I'm on 6A and 6B. Now, when you have a problem and you're given numbers like this, I tell my 120 students, as I tell my 103 students, do everything. Because that's extra what? Practice. If you get a problem and it just tells you to find the mean, I don't tell my students to find the mean. I tell my students to find what? Everything. The more practice, the better you are on a test. And then after you find everything, you just fill in whatever it asks for. Okay? So this is what I'm going to do on any problem that you send me that's in 6A and 6B. I'm going to do all of this. And I'm not finished yet. We're going to do some more. Okay, has everybody got this down? Okay, I'm going to make it like very small so I can reduce it down a little bit. Give me a second to reduce this down. Now, how are we going to use this information? I'm going to get rid of this down here if you don't mind. Let me redo that. Hold on. I'll leave that there. Okay. All right. Now, what do we do with this information? Well, you basically look at your data through this information right here. Let me show you a trick. Let's say that these are your test scores over here. And let's say that you had a bad day. Let's say Miss Porter came in, hungover, took a test, and made a 25. Okay? What happened to those three green numbers?
They went way down.
No, they didn't go way down. What did they do?
The green ones?
Yeah, the green ones. What happened to them? What were they? This is 85.
Oh, yeah.
What were they? They were all similar, were they not?
It gives you an outlier.
Yes. If I put in a 25 instead of that 85, watch those numbers, those three green numbers. What happened?
The median stayed the same.
Well, yeah, because it's not going to change unless you change middle numbers. They all went out of wampus. What in the world does out of wampus mean? Because some of your parents didn't teach you anything. Out of wampus means out of balance. You ever wash towels in the washing machine? Okay, nobody's ever washed towels before. I got one person that said yes. Oh, Coney, you don't wash towels?
Yeah, I wash
Easily, you don't
towels.
wash towels? Okay, we're not moving until Easily answers the question.
Yeah, we wash.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what happens if all the towels get on one side of the washer?
It starts making a
Get
lot
out
of
of
noise.
wampus. Okay, what does it start doing? Blub, 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 blub. Okay, and eventually it'll go and turn off, right? Because
Yeah.
it's out of wampus, it's out of balance. Okay, what happened to these three scores? They got all over the place. Why? Because something in the data is not what? Aligning. Something is not right. Well, let's say you didn't have a bad day. Let's say you had a very good day and you had an 85 here, and down here you had 125, you got a bonus right, and you paid off the teacher. Look at the numbers. What happened?
They're a little bit better.
They're all different. They're not the same. So these three numbers, the mean, write this down, the mean, median, and mean, median, and mid-range set up your central tendency. Your mean, median, and mid-range set up your central tendency, or your tendency of center, whatever you want to call it. Now, in statistics, the central tendency, or the tendency of center, is everything. How many of you have had a test before in a classroom and the teacher gives the test back and puts the class average on the board? Has anybody ever had that happen? What class was it?
Math.
Can you give me an example? Like, what did you make on the test and what was the average? You remember? Roundabout. It doesn't have to be exact.
We'll just say an 85, because that was in 7th grade.
Okay. The class average was 85?
No, I made an 85, and the class average was like a 87, 88.
Okay. So you were in the average. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why that means that the test was easier. It was an easier test. Why? Because the average would be around a 75, a 70. Okay? Now that's where we get into the normal distribution. Now, we're going to jump over to the empirical rule. You'll be all right. You'll be all right, I promise you. I will bet you money you'll be all right. You know why? Because I'm confident.
Because you're teaching it.
Yeah, I'm teaching it, and I have smokestacks on my truck. That's why. You know, if you have smokestacks on your truck, that means you're a better person. All right, so I do not have smokestacks on my truck. That's a joke. Settle down easily. There's the empirical rule. Nobody ever calls it the 68, 95, 95. Erase that. Mark through that. You will never, ever hear it called that. This book is stupid. Okay? I cannot stand this book. So do not call it the 68, 95, 99.7 rule. If you go to Clemson, and you call it the 68, 95, 99, somebody will look at you cross-eyed. It is called the empirical rule. And the empirical rule you have to memorize, and there it is right there.
Do you want us to draw it in our notes?
Yeah, draw it in your notes. What page is it on? Somebody tell me what page it's on.
It's in 6C, right?
Yes, or it'll be 6. Yeah, 6C. 6C.
Page 399.
Page 399, write it down. The empirical rule. You need to put this to memory. Now I'm going to write it a little bit different, but I want you to write it like that, and then I want you to write the way I do it. But I'll blow it up even bigger so y'all can see it easily in Oconee. There it is right there. Miss Carr, I'm gonna make you the designated Miss Riddle, okay? Whenever she's not there, you have to talk for the class, okay?
Okay.
Oh yeah, she really was joyful about that, didn't she? Well, I would say Mr. Foster, but he's back there in Southern Baptist land back there. He's ready to go eat. He's back there on the back row. Now, before anybody gets offended, I'm a Southern Baptist, so I can make fun of Southern Baptists. I told y'all the difference between a Southern Baptist and a Methodist, right? The Southern Baptist is the one, the Methodist is the one that talks to the cashier at the liquor store. The Southern Baptist won't talk to him. God almighty. Miss Daniel Sador.
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
What origin is that? I like to know origins of names. Where does that come from?
Nigeria.
I think I asked you that the first day, but I have a terrible memory.
Yes.
Nigeria. That is my weak area of geography. That's in Africa, correct?
West Africa, yes.
Yes. I'm very, very bad about the Africa continent, because my Johannesburg, that's a capital. I know it's a capital, but I don't know where it's But I don't know enough about geography, but I was curious about that last name. Were you born there, or were you born here?
Yes. Yes, I was
Ma'am?
born. I was born there.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Do you miss it?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. East or west, home is the best.
Well, we have our strengths and our weaknesses here, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Now we're in Nigeria. Is there? And I like tigers and lions. Are there a lot of tigers and lions there?
That is a saying. I have never seen lion before.
You never
Neither
seen one?
have I seen monkey, lion. I've never seen them except in the zoo.
I know there's some down there. I just don't know where they are. I just know. So all we got up here is bears. So you might see a bear around here. Especially in Oconee, easily in Oconee, you might see a bear. They don't come down to Anderson because they might get shot by a meth head. So we got meth heads down here. If you ever seen a meth head, that's interesting too. Especially when they start dancing on the sidewalk. Or they start dancing in Walmart. So, y'all ever seen meth heads dancing in Walmart?
I don't think
Only on Facebook.
It'll be on Facebook, yeah. There was one known yesterday, somebody dancing on the side of the road. Oh, Lord. What about it? But anyway, I'm going to make this small now, and I'm going to talk about what the empirical rule means. Okay? In fact, I'm going to delete it. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to make Hubert's edition over here. It's not Hubert's edition. It's just a little bit more explanatory or whatever you call it. Here it is. I'm going to go 3 standard deviations to the left and 3 standard deviations to the right. Now remember, the standard deviation is what I call the spread. So basically, it decides how wide your normal distribution is depending on how small the number is. So the mean, give me the mean. What was the mean on that last one? 92. I'm just going to use the whole number. So I'm going to put a 92 right here. And then the standard deviation was 5. So I'm going to add 5. So that's going to be a 97. Add 5. That's going to be 102. Add 5. That's going to be 107. Now, if I add on the right side of the mean, what am I going to do on the left side of the mean? I'm going to subtract 5. So what's 92 minus 5? 87?
Yeah.
87 minus 5. 82. 82 minus 5.
77.
77. Now that's what you're supposed to do when you fill out your empirical rule curve or your normal distribution. You put the median in the middle, and then you add the standard deviation on the right, and you subtract the standard deviation on the left. I take it out to 3 because I want to show you what the 3 standard deviations mean. Now, you also need to remember to include the decimals, okay? I did not include the decimals because I don't want to have to do that with the calculator and all that up here. So you need to make sure you include the decimals. And instead of whole numbers, you're going to have decimals. Now, I'm going to take my handy-dandy highlighter, and I'm going to highlight this area within 2 standard deviations, right here. Now I'm going to color that in. My daughter is 20, she'll be 21 March the 3rd. Yeah. Did you? And she always said the word normal. She said normal. So that's what I call this. In between two standard deviations is 95%. 95% is what we consider normal. Or if you're normal, okay? Now, of course, she's a junior at Clemson now, so she does not say normal, but I've been using the word normal ever since she was like 5 years old. So I continue to do that. So normal. Now, what's outside? Well, there's two more spaces outside. And I'm going to take one of them, and I'm going to highlight them blue. This out here, this right here is what we call not normal or unusual. I'm going to put not normal or what we call unusual. And I'm just going to put a big U for unusual. And that's between the second and the third standard deviation. And then outside of that, we're going to color red. And that's the reason I'm coloring it red is because this is very, very unusual. And this is what we call an outlier. What is an outlier? You dadgum 6 foot second graders.
They're not seeing.
Y'all know what a 6 foot second grader looks like? It's a second grader that's 6 foot tall. Okay? Your Michael Jordans, your Tiger Woods, your Tom Brady's. Okay? People that just, you can't explain it. Somebody give me an outlier. Somebody that's an outlier. I don't know. I just named off 3. Steven Tyler. Yeah, I guess you could call him an outlier. He's out there. Yeah. I'm trying to think of somebody else, but anyway, somebody that defies the odds, somebody that makes 1,800 on SAT, somebody that makes,
Like Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, the world-renowned physicist. He is an outlier on many different ways. So what does an outlier do? Well, an outlier can mess up your dadgum data is what it can do. All right? So an outlier can really mess up things. So you need to know these numbers right here. Why? So you can determine what's going to mess up your data. Oh, shoot. Why didn't y'all say something?
I didn't know until she got up and walked out.
Who walked off?
The other girl.
Why don't you speak? Why don't y'all say something?
I didn't think about it.
Oh, she said she has another class.
Okay, she should have said something. She should have said, Mr. McClure, Hubert, it's 5 after, it's 9 o'clock, or 10 o'clock. This not speaking thing is not going to work, okay? Y'all going to have to interact. All right, y'all have a good day. I've already called the roll. Sorry I kept y'all over. Nobody says anything. This is what happens.